So today I'm going to tell a story about how I had this Black& Decker vacuum that I wanted to see if I could get it to work a little bit longer. The batteries seemed to be going bad. And so I thought, well, let me take this apart. I'm a little bit tech savvy and I'm going to throw some new batteries in here. Should be fun. And I'll show everybody how to do it. But instead, I'm going to show you guys how I almost burned down my house. Alright, that might be a little bit dramatic, but still, it wasn't good. So first step is we got to take the whole thing apart, right? So I went straight to work and started undoing all of the screws and, got rid of that thingy, made sure that everything was rolling and started unscrewing stuff. So eventually we got the whole thing pulled apart, and this is what it looked like on the inside. And here I am trying to figure out where my positive and negative parts are for the battery. So where those batteries are connecting to the motherboard so that I can sort out where I need to put the new batteries. And of course my big dumb head gets in the way for a lot of this video. So anyways, eventually I figure it out and we start trying to take things apart. Initially, I tried to pry up the little tabs that are connecting all of them, see if I can get like a flathead screwdriver under there, see if we can make this pop up. So I did that, and then I took some pliers and just tried to like rip those leads off, but that didn't work. So instead, I decided I was just gonna have to clip them all off and put new ones on. So I just started going ham on that and started taking everything apart till I finally got the first battery out. And then I just kept doing much of the same until I was able to get all of the batteries out, which you can actually see here. Then I start trying to figure out where is my positive and negative on the motherboard, and then lining that up with my batteries so that I can pop all of those in. And this was a pretty smooth process, especially at the beginning. I got these 3 batteries in, no problem, and then came the 4th battery. For some reason this one just didn't want to go in. I kept looking around on it trying to figure out why it wouldn't go in, and eventually I decided that there was no other option but to try to manhandle it and force it into place. So tried first just shoving it in there, which did not work very well. And after that I decided, well, I guess I better take this other battery and a hammer and just see if I could force it into place, which did work. So once I got that all put together, then I started on to the next step, which was soldering my nickel strips onto the existing wiring. And then once I did that, I would switch over and I would come over to my battery spot welder, and with the battery spot welder I would tack those in place. So I would cut some nickel strips and then I would solder them and then go ahead and tack them in place. And at this point I was feeling pretty confident that this was going to work. Everything had been relatively smooth, but of course not all things can remain that nice and easy. So eventually, as I was, oh yeah, and I'm feeling real good right now. I'm like trying to demonstrate how to do it like an idiot. And yeah, then what happens next is where everything starts to fall apart on me. As I go to tack this on here, you see a nice, beautiful flame, and I immediately go, oh crap. And then it starts sparking, and I'm like, I'm gonna go and put this outside. So basically this is what happened. We melted those 2 leads. I had bridged them on both sides like an idiot. So here's a shot of that. You can see where it was bridged on the other side. So in failure, we learn our lessons. And at this point in time, I'm thinking, all right, let's just keep going and hopefully we don't make any dumb mistakes like that again. And I started kind of getting back into my groove again. Definitely needed to change my pants after that. And so yeah, we get it all I start putting it all back together. And I think to myself, well, let's just double check and make sure that we've got the reading that we need as far as the voltage on the battery. So I break out the multimeter and I touch my positive and negative ends, and I should be getting 16 volts, but instead I'm getting like 0.3 volts. And this is where I realized that I made another mistake. I had put my nickel strips across the wrong batteries in a different way, which fortunately they didn't blow up like my other ones, but it wasn't the right arrangement either, so I was getting basically no voltage going through my batteries. So anyways, I ripped it apart and fixed it, and here you can see I got 16 volts, and it should be working now. So I button everything back up together, kind of tape some of this foam stuff down because I wasn't certain that it was going to stay in place, and then I put everything back together, and then we're going to have a little test here in a second. So last thing is throw this bad boy on there and turn on the vacuum and hope that it doesn't light on fire. So it started right up for me, and I'm thinking, wow, even despite all of the crazy dumb mistakes that I made, it seems to be working. So I start vacuuming up stuff, and of course we end up with the same problem as I had in the beginning. It would turn on for a moment or two, and then it would shut off. So even after all of that, it still didn't work. My best guess is that the motor is just going dead on me, and even with the new batteries, it wasn't going to work either way. But thanks for sticking with me through this very eventful vacuum fix, and hopefully I have a project in the future where I don't almost burn down the house.